Have you ever stopped for a second, looked around, and realized that everything you see, the buildings, the technology, the art, even the ideas that shape how we live, was created by people who are no longer here? That thought hits hard, doesn't it? Because in that moment, you understand something profound. Life isn't just about living. It's about leaving something behind that continues to live long after you're gone. And when I say build a life that outlasts you, I'm not talking about fame or fortune. I'm talking about legacy, about impact, about building something with your time on earth that whispers your name even when your voice has gone silent. Think about it. Every day, you're either spending your life or investing it. The hours you waste never come back, but the hours you invest in growth, in others, in purpose, those hours multiply. They echo. They become your proof that you existed. We live in a world obsessed with temporary things, likes, trends, material success. But the truth is none of that lasts. What lasts are the seeds you plant, the kindness you give, the people you help, the lessons you teach, the dreams you chase with everything inside you. You see, your life is like wet cement. Every decision, every action, every word leaves an imprint. Some people walk through life without realizing that the marks they're leaving behind are shallow, meaningless, forgotten the moment they're gone. But others, they walk with purpose. They carve deep. They leave impressions so strong that even time itself can't erase them. And here's the thing, you don't have to be rich, famous, or a genius to build a life that outlasts you. You just have to care deeply about what you do and who you become in the process. It's about showing up again and again, even when nobody's watching. Because the greatest legacies aren't built in spotlight moments. They're built in the quiet hours when no one's applauding. Every choice you make is a brick. Every failure is a lesson that strengthens the foundation. Every time you rise again, you're adding another layer to the structure that will stand long after you're gone. You see, there are two kinds of lives people live: the life of consumption and the life of creation. The consumers take what exists and spend their energy chasing it, but the creators, they take their pain, their vision, their experiences, and they build something new from it. They build bridges where others saw walls. They plant trees whose shade they will never sit under. And that's what I want you to understand. Building a life that outlasts you is about living today with the awareness that your time is limited, but your influence doesn't have to be. Every day, life hands you the hammer and the nails, your thoughts, your words, your actions, and you get to decide what you'll build. Will it be a monument to your ego or a foundation for others to stand on? Most people spend their lives chasing comfort, not realizing that comfort never builds legacies. Growth does. Struggle does. Purpose does. When you're uncomfortable, you're expanding. When you're challenged, you're changing. And every challenge you overcome becomes a chapter in the story that others will one day read. Think about the people who changed the world. They didn't start with power. They started with conviction. They started with a dream that was bigger than their fear. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't wait for the world to give him permission. He stepped forward with belief. Mother Teresa didn't have resources. She had compassion. Steve Jobs didn't invent the future. He built it one idea at a time. What they all shared was this unshakable understanding that their lives could be more than just their own. They were building something that would outlast them. And so can you. But here's where most people go wrong. They think legacy is something you create at the end of your life. It's not. Legacy is built in your ordinary days. It's built in the way you treat people, in how you respond to challenges, in whether you choose to stay down or rise again. Every morning, you're given a blank page, and how you live that day becomes part of the story you leave behind. So ask yourself, if someone studied your life today, what would they learn from it? Would they see resilience or regret? Would they see a person who merely survived or one who truly lived? Because legacy doesn't begin with achievement. It begins with awareness. Awareness that you have limited time but limitless potential. Awareness that what you do right now, in this very moment, could inspire someone years from now. Awareness that one act of courage, one word of kindness, one moment of persistence can ripple through generations. The world doesn't remember people who took from it. It remembers those who gave to it. So I want you to stop thinking small. Stop living like your story ends with you. You're part of something bigger, a chain of humanity stretching through time, and your choices add strength or weakness to that chain. You're writing history every day, whether you realize it or not. You're shaping how people will remember you, how they'll talk about you, how your energy will linger in the spaces you once filled. You see, someday your name will be spoken for the last time, and what will follow that name depends entirely on how you live now. Will people smile and feel inspired when they think of you? Or will your name fade into the background, forgotten? The answer lies in what you do today, in whether you choose comfort or contribution, ego or impact, excuses or execution. Because the truth is simple. Your life is your message, and that message doesn't end when your heartbeat does. It keeps echoing through the lives you've touched, through the work you've done, through the love you've given. And if you start building that message today, intentionally, passionately, relentlessly, then even when your voice is gone, your words will still speak. Even when your body is gone, your influence will still breathe. And even when your time is over, your legacy will just be getting started. Because when you understand that your legacy is not a future event, but a daily decision, everything about the way you live begins to change. You stop waiting for the perfect time and you start realizing that every second counts. You start noticing the moments you used to overlook, the quick conversation with a stranger, the encouragement you give a friend, the effort you put into your craft when no one is watching. Because you finally understand that these little things are not little at all. They're the threads that weave the fabric of your legacy. You see, time is like sand slipping through your fingers. You can't hold it, but you can use it. You can build castles with it. You can shape something beautiful before it's gone. And yet, so many people waste their days scrolling through other people's lives instead of creating their own. They admire the builders, but forget they have the same tools, the same time, the same potential. The difference is mindset. It's the choice between existing and building. You and I both know people who are alive but not really living. People who wake up every day, do the same things, complain about the same problems, and never take a single step toward change. They've accepted the idea that they're just here to survive. But survival is not the goal. The goal is significance. The goal is to look back one day and say, I built something that mattered. And that doesn't mean you need to change the whole world. It means you need to change your world, your family, your community, your craft, your space. That's how great legacies begin, one small circle at a time. Think about a candle in a dark room. It doesn't complain about the darkness. It simply shines. And when it shines, others find their way. That's what you're supposed to do with your life. Shine in your space. Light up your corner. Don't wait for someone else to hand you purpose. Create it where you stand. Because legacy isn't about recognition. It's about responsibility. It's about realizing that your gifts were never meant to die with you. Your voice, your talents, your dreams, they're meant to serve others, to inspire others, to outlive you. And if you bury them in fear or laziness, the world loses something irreplaceable. Do you know what's truly tragic? Not death. What's tragic is a life unlived, a soul that had potential but never used it. Cemeteries are filled with unwritten books, unstarted businesses, unsung songs, and unspoken words. Don't let yours be one of them. Don't let your ideas die inside you because you were too afraid to be misunderstood, too afraid to fail, too afraid to try. Failure doesn't end your legacy. Quitting does. Every setback, every rejection, every mistake is a chisel shaping you into something stronger, wiser, more impactful. You don't build a lasting legacy by avoiding failure. You build it by refusing to stay down. Every time you rise, you teach others how to rise too. That's the beauty of legacy. It multiplies. When you lift yourself, you give others permission to lift themselves. When you heal, you show others that healing is possible. When you grow, you remind others that change is within reach. So stop underestimating your influence. Even when you think no one's watching, someone is. Someone's learning how to fight by watching how you refuse to give up. Someone's finding hope because you decided to keep going. And one day, that person might become the reason another keeps going. That's how ripple effects work. They start small but grow unstoppable. The truth is, you don't always get to choose how long you live, but you always get to choose how deeply you live. You get to choose whether you'll spend your days collecting moments that fade or building meaning that lasts. Every time you choose purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort, contribution over consumption, you're investing in eternity. Because the work of the heart never dies. It outlives your name, your possessions, even your memory. You know, One of the most powerful things you can do is ask yourself, what will remain when I'm gone? Will there be people whose lives are better because you existed? Will there be lessons, stories, or creations that carry your fingerprint? Because if not, then what are you really doing with this gift of time? You're not here by accident. You're here on assignment. There's something only you can create, something only you can contribute. And until you do, the world remains incomplete. Don't let distractions rob you of that assignment. Every notification, every pointless argument, every comfort zone, they're thieves of your legacy. Protect your time like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Your time is your life. What you give your attention to becomes what you build. So build intentionally. Build with love. Build with purpose. And remember, the things that outlast you are rarely the easiest things to build. They demand sacrifice. They demand patience. They demand that you think long-term in a world addicted to shortcuts. But when you plant seeds today, one day people you'll never meet will stand under the shade of trees you grew. That's impact. That's meaning. That's what it means to build a life that outlasts you. So promise yourself this: you will not waste your story. You will not drift through your days. You will live awake, aware, intentional. You will give your best, not because the world demands it, but because your soul deserves it. And when challenges come, because they will, you'll remind yourself that pressure doesn't destroy diamonds. It creates them. Every struggle you face is shaping your story, and the story you're writing now may one day become someone else's survival guide. That's the power of living for more than yourself. That's the secret to immortality, not of body, but of spirit. And if you can understand that, truly understand it, then you'll stop asking, what can I get from life? And start asking, what can I give to it? You'll stop chasing applause and start creating echoes. Because applause fades, but echoes travel through time. And one day, long after your name is spoken for the last time, those echoes will still be inspiring someone to rise, to love, to build, to believe. Because the truth is, what you build in this world with your heart, your effort, and your integrity never truly dies. It transforms, it passes on, it lives through others. When you give your best, when you pour yourself into something meaningful, the universe records it in ways you can't even imagine. Every act of courage, every act of kindness, every act of persistence becomes part of the energy that shapes this world long after you're gone. So don't underestimate your influence just because you can't always see it. You might plant a seed today and never live to see it bloom, but that doesn't mean it won't grow. Think about it. The people who built the cathedrals of Europe never saw them finished. The vision took centuries, yet they laid each stone with faith that one day it would stand in glory. They weren't building for themselves. They were building for generations to come. That's the mindset of legacy. You build not for now, but for forever. You give your best knowing you might never see the full result, but you trust that your effort will echo through time. Too many people live like their lives are a sprint, chasing quick rewards, fast recognition, and instant gratification. But legacy builders, they live like it's a marathon, one step at a time, understanding that greatness is not built in moments of speed, but in moments of endurance. They don't rush. They refine. They don't seek shortcuts. They build foundations. They don't live for applause. They live for impact, because they know applause stops the moment the spotlight fades, but impact grows even in the dark. And if you want to build a life that outlasts you, you need to start thinking like a farmer, not a hunter. Hunters live for the thrill of the chase. They want immediate results, fast kills, quick satisfaction. But farmers, they think seasons ahead. They plant when others are sleeping. They water when others doubt. They wait when others quit. And when the harvest finally comes, it's not by luck, it's by faith, consistency, and hard work. That's what your legacy requires: patience, persistence, and purpose. You can't build something eternal with a temporary mindset. You have to build with depth. You have to care enough to do things the right way, even when no one's watching. Because integrity is the foundation of a legacy that lasts. You can fake success, but you can't fake substance. What you do when no one's watching determines what remains when everyone's gone. So build honestly. Build with intention. Build with love, not ego. Because ego wants to be seen, but love wants to serve. And what comes from love never dies. Think about your own life. Who are the people who've truly left an impact on you? Were they the loudest, most popular ones? Or were they the ones who quietly showed up, believed in you, encouraged you, and stood by you when you needed it most? That's the kind of person who leaves a lasting mark. Not because they had everything, but because they gave everything they could. They gave effort, compassion, and authenticity, and that's exactly how I want you to live. Every time you lift someone up, every time you make someone's day better, every time you give without expecting anything in return, you're building your legacy, one invisible brick at a time. You might not see the structure yet, but it's rising, slowly, steadily, beautifully. And one day people will look back and realize how much your presence mattered. That's why you can't let temporary pain make you forget your permanent purpose. Yes, life gets hard. Yes, there are days when it feels like nothing's working, like the dream is too far, like no one notices your effort. But remember this, builders don't quit halfway. They trust the process. The tallest buildings require the deepest foundations, and if life feels heavy right now, maybe it's because you're laying the groundwork for something massive. Keep digging, keep building, keep believing. The world needs your story. It needs your strength. It needs your light. Even if you don't feel ready, even if you're afraid, take the next step anyway, because courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you move forward despite fear. That's what every great builder of legacy has done. They faced fear, rejection, and uncertainty, but they moved anyway. They acted when others hesitated. They spoke when others stayed silent. They stood tall when others bowed down. Because they knew something most people forget. Legacy isn't given. It's earned through sweat, sacrifice, and soul. And sometimes the greatest work you'll ever do won't be seen by anyone. Sometimes it's the quiet battles, the ones you fight inside your mind, that define the legacy you leave. The decision to forgive when it's easier to hate. The choice to rise after failure. The commitment to stay kind in a world that often isn't. These are the invisible victories that shape who you become and what remains of you. Never forget that every great legacy begins with one person who decided they would not let their time go to waste. They decided that their life would mean something, that they would build something no storm could destroy. You can be that person. You can start today. Don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is promised to no one. What you do now matters more than you think. The people who will benefit from your work may not even be born yet, but they'll live better because you cared enough to build. And when you realize that, it changes everything. You stop chasing attention and start chasing purpose. You stop measuring success in likes and followers and start measuring it in lives touched and hearts changed. You stop asking, "How much can I get?" and start asking, "How much can I give before I'm gone?" Because true fulfillment doesn't come from accumulation. It comes from contribution. The happiest people are not the ones who have the most. They're the ones who give the most. They understand that meaning outlasts money, that love outlasts fame, that purpose outlasts possessions. When your life becomes about something greater than yourself, that's when eternity begins to notice you. That's when your story becomes more than a name. It becomes a light that guides others. And that's the beautiful paradox of life. The moment you stop living just for yourself, your life begins to matter beyond yourself. When you shift your focus from success to significance, from comfort to contribution, from taking to giving, something inside you transforms. You begin to feel this unshakable sense of purpose, a drive that no setback can destroy, because now you're not just existing, you're creating waves that ripple through time. You start to realize that every person you meet is a canvas, and your words, your actions, your energy are the brush strokes you leave behind. Some strokes may fade, but others become masterpieces that outlast generations. That's how influence works. It's not about control, it's about contribution. It's about understanding that the world is constantly being shaped by those who choose to care deeply. You see, people won't always remember your face, your achievements, or even your name, but they'll remember how you made them feel, what you inspired them to do, what you awakened inside them. That's why legacy is emotional, not material. It's not measured in possessions, but in impact. Think about it. You could own everything and still leave nothing behind if your life never touched another soul. But even the smallest act of love, the simplest word of hope, can outlast centuries. A teacher who believes in a student changes a generation. A mother who sacrifices for her children builds a foundation for the future. An artist who paints truth into the world gives color to people's pain long after their own has faded. You don't need a stage or a crowd to make a difference. You just need a willing heart. Legacy doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing something that matters again and again until it changes the world around you. And sometimes building a life that outlasts you means learning to let go of the need for immediate recognition. Because when you're working on something eternal, the rewards won't always come instantly. They're delayed, but they're destined. The tree you plant today won't give shade tomorrow, but someday, someone will sit beneath its branches and thank you in their heart, even if they never know your name. That's the essence of purpose, doing good without needing credit. Living for the applause of heaven, not the approval of people. And once you understand that, you become unstoppable. You stop comparing your journey to others because you realize your legacy has its own timeline. You stop rushing, you stop doubting, you stop needing validation. Instead, you build quietly, faithfully, powerfully. You pour your energy into becoming the kind of person whose absence will be felt not because of fame, but because of impact. And that takes courage. Because this world often tells you the opposite. It tells you to chase visibility over value, followers over fulfillment, speed over substance. But legacy builders choose differently. They play the long game. They understand that it's not about how fast you go, but about how deeply you grow. Depth creates permanence. Depth gives your work roots, and roots are what keep you standing when storms hit. So don't be afraid to take your time. Don't be afraid to start small. Everything monumental began with something microscopic. The ocean starts as a drop. A mountain starts as a grain of sand. A legacy starts with a single decision, the decision to do something meaningful today. And maybe that something is simply to become a better version of yourself. Because you can't build a legacy if you're not building yourself. The foundation of everything you leave behind begins with who you are inside. If you want your work to last, your character has to last. If you want your influence to be pure, your heart has to be pure. You can't fake integrity. It's something you live day by day, choice by choice. Every time you keep your word, even when it's inconvenient, you build legacy. Every time you take responsibility instead of blaming others, you build legacy. Every time you choose honesty over shortcuts, you build legacy. These moments may seem small, but together, they form the blueprint of the life that will outlast you. Because at the end of the day, legacy isn't about what you leave for people. It's about what you leave in people. Money fades, awards gather dust, buildings crumble, but the love, the lessons, the courage you pass on to others, those things are eternal. They live on in conversations, in stories, in memories. They travel across generations disguised as wisdom and strength. You see, immortality isn't found in having your name remembered. It's found in leaving behind something that continues to do good. Maybe it's a book, a business, a piece of art, a philosophy, or even just a memory that reminds people to live better. That's how the greatest souls continue to live among us, not through monuments, but through movements they began. So, ask yourself right now, what movement are you building with your life? What truth are you fighting for? What goodness are you multiplying? Because whether you realize it or not, you're already influencing people. The only question is how. Every word you speak, every action you take, every reaction you give is teaching someone something. Are you teaching strength or fear? Kindness or bitterness? Vision or limitation? You are the example someone is following, even if they never tell you. That's why building a life that outlasts you begins with living consciously, intentionally, with the awareness that your presence is powerful. And once you see that, you'll never underestimate yourself again. You'll start showing up with purpose in every moment, because you'll know that your life is not a rehearsal. It's your legacy being written in real time. Because every moment you live is a sentence in the story that people will tell about you when you're gone, and you have the power to make that story unforgettable. You are the author, the builder, the sculptor of your legacy, and the way you live each day is your signature on the masterpiece of your life. So don't waste another sunrise waiting for the right time. This is the right time. Every breath you take is an invitation to begin again, to rewrite your story, to build something worth remembering. The truth is, you don't need more time. You just need more intention. You already have enough hours in your day to change your life and the lives of others if you use them wisely. So instead of asking for more time, start asking how you can make your time matter more. Because the clock is always ticking, and every tick is asking you, what are you building? Are you building excuses or examples? Are you building habits or regrets? Are you building something temporary or something timeless? You see, the difference between people who leave a mark and people who disappear is simple. The ones who leave a mark decide that ordinary is not enough for them. They decide that comfort will not be their cage. They decide that even if they fail, they will fail moving forward. Because the builders of legacy understand that progress is greater than perfection. You don't need to have it all figured out to make a difference. You just need to start. Start where you are, with what you have, and give your best. The path will unfold as you move. And yes, there will be obstacles. There will be days when it feels like nothing you do matters. But remember, the darkest nights produce the brightest stars. Pressure creates diamonds. Struggle shapes strength. Every challenge is an invitation to become more. So instead of running from pain, use it. Let it teach you. Let it refine you. Let it remind you why you started. Because when you endure, when you rise, when you choose purpose over quitting, you become an example. And that example is your legacy in motion. Someone out there needs to see you not give up. Someone out there needs to see that it's possible to begin again. Someone out there will believe in themselves because you believed in yourself first. That's how the chain continues. That's how impact multiplies. So live with that awareness that your life is not just about you. It's about everyone who will be touched by what you do, directly or indirectly. Maybe you'll never know their names. Maybe you'll never meet them. But that's okay, because true builders don't build for applause. They build for eternity. And eternity always remembers. One day you'll take your final breath, and in that moment, none of the trophies, the likes, the possessions will matter. What will matter is the love you gave, the lessons you taught, the difference you made, the lives you touched. What will matter is whether you lived small or lived big, whether you existed or truly lived. So live big, dream boldly, forgive quickly, love deeply, serve humbly, create relentlessly. Because these are the things that outlast the body. These are the fingerprints of the soul. The world doesn't need more people chasing attention. It needs more people creating meaning. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more voices that speak truth, kindness, and courage. So be that voice. Be that light. Be that person who proves that one life lived with purpose can change everything. And when you stumble, because you will, get back up and keep building. Remember, legacy isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down. It's about continuing to build, even with bruised hands and a tired heart. Because every brick you lay in pain becomes a monument of strength for someone else. Someday, when your story is told, people won't talk about how easy your life was. They'll talk about how you kept going when it wasn't. They'll talk about how your faith outlasted your fear, how your vision outlasted your failures, how your love outlasted your losses. That's what it means to build a life that outlasts you. It means becoming the kind of person whose existence made the world a little kinder, wiser, stronger. It means realizing that your story, your scars, your struggles, they're all pieces of a legacy being written through you. So don't wait for a perfect moment to begin. Begin now, in the imperfection, in the uncertainty, in the chaos. Because the people who change the world aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who kept building when everything was falling apart. And you can be that person. You can decide right now that your life will count for something greater. You can decide that you will build not just for yourself, but for everyone who comes after you. Imagine years from now someone finding strength in your story, courage in your words, direction in your actions, and realizing that their life is better because you chose to live fully. That's the ultimate success. That's immortality. So from this day forward, live like your time is precious because it is. Speak like your words will echo forever because they will. Love like your heart can heal others because it can. And build like your hands are crafting eternity because they are. Every sunrise is your reminder that you've been given another chance to build something beautiful. Don't waste it. Leave this world a little brighter, a little better, a little kinder than you found it. Let your story be one that inspires generations to come to believe, to create, to love, to build. Because one day, when your name is just a memory, your legacy will still be alive, breathing through the lives you touched, shining through the dreams you ignited, and echoing through the world you helped shape. So build a life so meaningful, so full of love, purpose, and truth, that even when you're gone, the world will still feel the warmth of your presence. Build a life that outlasts you, because that's the only kind of life truly worth living.